Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troll.
(1973 to 1976). Welcome back, baseball fans of 1973-76 Carryover League. We continue in the postseason tournament. We got some action in the American League Midwest between the Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. Let's open up and show you the scenario that needs to play out in this matchup. Again, we're trying simply to put a team into first place. Doesn't clinch anything. We just want to know who's in first, who's in second. So here is the scenario. White Sox get home field, meaning games 1 and 2 in Chicago, because the Twins had it the first time they met. And the +1 means that the Twins won that series 4 games to 3. As it turned out, the home team won all 7 games. So hopefully the White Sox home field advantage might get them back in this division race. They're 2 games back, so winning the series 4 games to 3 will not be good enough. They have to win the series 5 games to 2. That would put them a game up. Tiebreaker wouldn't even be needed, though they would have a +2 in the tiebreaker at that point. But let's go and show you what's happened. Game 1, opening up Comiskey Park. Bill Singer for the Twins. Wilbur Wood, the tireless one, for the White Sox. Singer's card for this season gets up a lot of walks to lefties, so the White Sox added as many as they could had on their team. It's a pitcher's duel. Bottom of the 3rd inning, however, Dick Allen, solo homer, 1-0 White Sox. And it would stay that way. Singer did a decent job minimizing the on-base through walks, but Wilbur Wood showed glimpses of his 71 card when he had a sub-2 ERA and dominated with his 73 card at least. Scoreless, 1-0 game, bottom of the 8th inning. You get a single and a double, RBI double by Dick Allen, driving in 2 of the 3 runs. RBI single by Ken Henderson, making it 3-0. They do bring in Rich Gossage in the 9th. They pull Wood. Wilbur Wood has no complete games this year, but he's been pitching on 2 days of rest almost exclusively. So we're trying to shave an inning off here and there, and, well, Gossage is our guy as well, and Gossage is better than Wood, so he gets the save. This is how you draw them up if you're a Chicago White Sox. Wood to Gossage, get the win, and, you know, just strangle the Twins. So, +1, and the White Sox cut the lead to a single game. Now game number 2 with a lot of interesting percentage moves here that go all sorts of different ways. Game 2, Dave Goltz, similar to Singer in that he's weaker against lefties and righties. This may be a theme that the White Sox can never seem to take advantage of that pitching situation because they just don't have enough lefties on their roster. They literally have Stinson, Henderson, Muser, and Orta. And as a matter of fact, Stinson wasn't even a member of the White Sox. So they lost Carlos May, and they didn't replace him with a left-handed bat. That could hurt this team. Top of the 1st, Cruz single steals a base. Pass ball gets him to 3rd, so a single scored him 1-0. Bottom of the 2nd inning, Lamar Johnson singles, Bradford singles. After a couple of outs, Eric Soderholm having a rather fascinating game, you'll see. Makes an error, continues the inning, a wild pitch, scores the unearned run. It's 1-1. Top of the 3rd, and this is a curious inning here. You have a single, a walk, Bostock. Oh, you have a single, a caught stealing by Carew, a fly out, 2 outs, Bostock singles. He could attempt a stolen base, either be out, the inning's over, or be safe at second. He stays at first. Phil Roof gets the single on the plus. So they're on the corners, and then Jim Holt rolls triple one, single dot the rest off the Bart Johnson card, gets the triple one, and that's 2 runs. On the 5% chance, they get the 2 runs, plus if Bostock steals second base, Roof grounds out, the inning's over. If Bostock gets thrown out stealing, the inning's over. So that's how you get your 2-1 runs if you're the Minnesota Twins, I guess. Melton reaches on an error by who now? Makes 1. Jim Holt makes an error. Second error for the Twins, who make a bunch this today, but doesn't really seem to matter. Couple singles, couple runs, 3-3 tie. Let's restart this mess. It's 3-3. It'll stay this way until the 7th inning. Dave Golds continues. He's a starter 8, so he pitches through the 7th. He walks Allen, he walks Melton. Henderson RBI single, Lamar Johnson sac fly. Another walk. The White Sox strand 2 runners, but they get a 5-3 lead. Okay, Johnson's day is done after 7 innings. They've done this before. They've pulled Bart Johnson going, let's have Terry Forster give us 1 inning and then go to Gossage for the multi-inning save. Can you do it, Terry Forster? The answer is no. You can't again. Not necessarily his fault. After an out, ground ball to Orta, who's left in the game, even though defensive replacement Glenn Beckert's on the bench. Don't know if that would have mattered anyway, but Orta makes an error. An RBI single, Bobby Darwin. It's now a 5-4 game. We go to the 9th. Heisel singles, steals a base. Forster versus Bostock. The Twins leave the lefty in there, and Forster's like, sounds good to me. Strikes him out. But then you got Phil Roof, a righty, coming in, so they bring in Gossage. He walks Roof, gets Holt to fly out. But then, with 2 outs, Eric Soderholm doubles to tie the game. And an interesting percentage chance here, Phil Roof to take a lead from first base. He's an 8 runner. And so, in this moment, I do what I call a spirit of the game decision. If you're an 8 runner, you could probably score from second on a single. I just have a hard time visualizing you scoring all the way from first base on a double as an 8, because it would be 8 plus 2. You got Ken Henderson's -2 arm. So yeah, it's a 40% chance. But you got 300 hitting Tony Oliva on deck, so we do not run Roof to take a lead for the Twins. Next batter is Tony Oliva. He draws a walk to load the bases off of Gossage, but then Bobby Darwin flies out. So in this particular move, the slow-footed runner, the Twins said, no, we'll live to fight another day. The game is tied. Let's go to the bottom of the 9th inning. You know, remember Eric Soderholm, the guy who made an error there and an error there and hit the double there? He makes an error to start the 9th inning to get the White Sox going. After 2 strikeouts, that runner, by the way, is Lamar Johnson. And there's nobody left on the bench by now to pinch run for him. So he is also an 8 runner. Bucky Dent, of course, hits a homer double chance off the pitcher's card. And Lamar Johnson is at first base. And it's only a -1 arm in center field. So it's actually a 50-50 chance for the boat anchor at first. So the rule I created at the top of the inning, I broke it in the bottom of the inning. Let's call it home field advantage. So we run Lamar Johnson to win the game. And he gets thrown out the plate. All said and done, it's tied. And we have to keep playing extra innings. A scoreless 10th inning. And then in the top of the 11th inning, we have the inherited runners at second. Gossage strikes out Bostock. Gossage strikes out Phil Roof. 2 outs. He walks with 2 outs, a runner at second base. Needing to get 1 more out of the inning. Do you want to deal with the lefty Jim Holt or the righty Eric Soderholm? Jim Holt hits 300. Soderholm hits 260. Gossage dominates righties. It's an intentional walk. He wants to face Soderholm, and guess what? Soderholm rolls a walk on his card anyway. And then Tony Oliva rolls a double off the Gossage card to get the 2 runs, and the White Sox meekly walk away in the bottom of the inning. Yep, another bullpen collapse. Another improbable loss for the White Sox, who just can't get the breaks they need. I never said the White Sox are an extremely lucky team. They certainly aren't, folks. They just cannot catch a break. Forster blows another game. Gossage blows another game. We'll take a look at the stats right immediately here. I got to show you the... So, Gossage and Forster have 5 losses between them. And the team, you take those 5 losses away, they'd be 16-11 in first place. But Forster and Gossage are not having a good year. That's the ball game. Twins even the series a game apiece. It seems like every time the White Sox take a step forward, they take a step backward. Game number 3. Now the White Sox have to win 4 out of 5. Game 3, and this is how you draw them up if you're a White Sox fan. It's Jim Cott versus Burt Blyleven. They beat the stuffing out of Blyleven. 3rd inning, Bradford walk, Dent double, RBI ground out Stinson, RBI single Orta, 2-run homer Dick Allen. 4 runners reach, 4 runners score. 5th inning, a single by Muser, a walk by Downing, and with 2 outs, Dick Allen, 3-run homer. 3 batters reach, 3 batters score. 7th inning, single Dent, single Downing in for the catcher, sac fly Orta, RBI double Dick Allen, 2 runs, 3 hits. White Sox put 12 men on base, 10 of them scored. 10 of the 12 men scored. Meanwhile, Jim Cott tried to blow the game in the 5th inning by giving up 4 runs, but settled in there. Stan Bonson finished it off. And the White Sox seemingly had their way with the Twins' best pitcher, Burt Blyleven, 10-6. And we're left scratching our heads again, wondering, why are the White Sox continuing to dominate and then blow it all away? Which brings us to Game 4 in Minnesota. And in Game 4, this is where the White Sox can take control of this thing, because Wilbur Wood can pitch on 2 days rest. And the Twins will have the worst left-handed starting pitcher in the game right now, Jerry Garvin. I'm not trying to pick on Jerry Garvin. It's just that's the way it is, because the Twins have the worst left-handed pitching in our league. Just how they were built. They built everywhere else and neglected left-handed pitching. So that's the matchup in a Game 4. Wilbur Wood, Jerry Garvin. 2nd inning, off of Garvin you get a walk, a single, a walk, a 2-run single, but then with the bases, with 2 on and nobody out, they don't score again. They stranded 2 guys in the 1st inning. Well, it's just a 2-0 game. Twins get a single. They always respond to the Twins. They get a single in the 2nd by Darwin. They get a Bry double, RBI ground out. Jim Holt, the monstrous year of Jim Holt continues. 2-out RBI double. Game's tied at 2. 3rd inning, Bobby Darwin's solo homer off of Wood, 3-2. 4th inning, Soderholm single, Jim Holt, 2-run homer on a 4-for-4 day, 5-2. Jerry Garvin now, it's like, why pull him? I mean, just let him qualify for a win. 5th inning, 3 up and 3 down. Now Dick Allen is 0-for-3 after going 3-for-5 yesterday. Oh boy, you see where this is going, folks. Well, it's going to get even more troublesome here. 5-2 game. Garvin gets an out in the 6th. They pull him. So Garvin's line, 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Not bad at all for the worst lefty in the league. And Tom Murphy, a very good righty reliever, will come in and pitch long relief. But the White Sox, against the better pitcher, start producing runs in the 7th inning. You get Brian Downing with a double. You get Allen with a single on the corners. You get an RBI single by Melton. You get Henderson, an RBI single. They're not going to send, it's 1st and 2nd, then you get a strikeout and an out. This makes the game 5-4. Also in the inning, Beckert was due up, but they decided to pinch hit George Orta because they took out Garvin and went to a righty. Orta would pop out, but Orta's the worst defensive player. Would that cost the White Sox? Yes, it would. It will. It will. Bottom of the 8th inning, you get an error by Bill Melton. Pinch runner Lyman Bostock for Oliva steals a base. After 2 outs, a ground ball to George Orta. Nope, it's a single. It's an RBI single to make it 6-4. So the pinch hit just cost him the pinch hit at bat just cost the White Sox another run. 6-4 game in the 9th. Bill Campbell, the Twins closer, comes in into a 6-4 game in the 9th. After Orta's strikeout and a Dick Allen flyout, Bill Melton solo shot, making it 6-5. Then you have Ken Henderson. He gets a single. He has to be held at first as the tie run. Do you want to try a stolen base to get in scoring position, get thrown out and the game's over? No, let's keep the game going with 320 hitting Lamar Johnson. 1-5, Lamar Johnson rolls homer, 1-3, double the rest. It's a double. Ken Henderson, do you want to score him from first base on a double? It's a 16, 17, 18, minus one arm, 17, and he's thrown out of the plate. Can't run. Can't run the guys. Can't run. Can't run Lamar Johnson, game 2. Can't run the actual fast guy, game 4. And the Twins get another win, 6-5. Once again, we've played 4 baseball games, and nothing has happened. Just same old, same old, same old. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Nothing's going on, and we're right back where we started from, where the White Sox just figure out more and more ways to just blow games. Now they have to win 3 straight. They certainly could do it. But, I don't know. Here you go. Here's the present standings. White Sox, game over 500. Well, at least that's good. Still in a very watered down and weak American League. The White Sox could clearly somehow get in as a wild card or even win this division. This series is tied 2 games apiece. We are in game 5 in Minnesota. White Sox need to win this game and return home to Comiskey, win game 6 and 7. If the Twins win this game, they would be in tremendously good shape to hold on for this division. And looking at the other records in the American League, the A's are just a couple over 500. Orioles and Tigers, it's not out of the question for the Twins to continue on in this tournament, potentially, win this division, and even qualify for a bye. The top 2 seeds get a bye week and don't have to play in the wild card round. So the Twins have something to play for. White Sox certainly have something to play for today in a game 5. And after having Wilbur Wood pitching on 2 days rest, you punched that ticket, you made that commitment, because now, unfortunately, now you got your number 4 starter. Jerry Bell pitching today. Oops. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a guy pitch on 2 days rest. Eventually, he can't pitch every day, folks. So Jerry Bell has to come in and pitch game 5. Bell was a free agent from the Brewers. 9-game winner, 3.97 ERA, and 184 innings. Certainly would be quick hooked today with a very deep White Sox pen. I don't know how it's fallen, but we've seen Jerry Bell pitch 2 or 3 times on YouTube this year, just because that's the way this White Sox season seems to have been going. And for the magical Cinderella Twins, where every move they make seems to pay off, it'll be Bill Singer. He pitched a gem in game 1, but lost. It was a 3-0 shutout. So he did all he could. His team didn't give him any run support. Bill was a 20-game winner in 1973 with a 3.22 ERA and 316 innings for the California Angels. Basically, in the offseason, the Twins went out, traded for him, and they sent Jim Cott to the White Sox because they wanted Singer and Blyleven at the top of this rotation, along with Dave Goltz as the number 4 guy. So those are the moves, and right now, it's certainly looking good for the Twins. They have the pitching advantage, home field advantage, and the series is tied 2 games apiece. Leading off for the White Sox, trying to get as many left-handed bats in the game as possible, left-handed catcher Bob Stinson. 1-4 grounds to the pitcher. George Orta 1-6, triple one double is a 2-base hit. Now you have Dick Allen. 69 off of Bill Singer is second X. Second base is Carew, a 2E16. Makes the play. Runner goes to third for Bill Melton. 412 flies to right. Bottom of the first inning here. It'll be Rod Carew. 3-6, single 1-15, and he gets it. Double-A stealer. He is attempted every time against Stinson and been safe most of the time. This time he's caught stealing on a 17. And actually, the stolen bases of Carew have largely been inconsequential, which is good news for the White Sox. And here he's actually cut down. So that's an out. Larry Heisel, 5'11", left X, and Lamar Johnson in left field. 4E16, that's a base hit. Actually, Lamar Johnson has not made a lot of mistakes in this particular series in left field, but he's made a lot of mistakes this year in left field. We try and get him in out of the game by like the 6th or 7th inning, so he doesn't, hurt the White Sox chances any more than he already is out there defensively. Heisel at first, a stealer. Let's try another stolen base. And he's gone down to 19. Oh my goodness, folks. Bob Stinson's having an inning. Your +1 arm White Sox catcher. He's got the bazooka going in the first. And now you got Bostock. Oh, please get on with a single. 1-2. Ground ball to first plus an injury. Well, this is disaster. So they lose Bostock. They have a capable replacement. Steve Bry can play center field, but he doesn't have the range or the stick. He'll take over for the injured Bostock in a troublesome first inning for the Twins. Scoreless in the second. It'll be Ken Henderson. 2-8 is a strikeout. Lamar Johnson, 1-3, flies to center. Buddy Bradford, 5-12, rolls back to the mound. Bottom of the second inning, it'll be the roof's on fire. 2-4, fly ball to center. Now it's making it look, you are attempting stolen bases off of the number 4 starter for the White Sox. So maybe the Twins were a little bit too aggressive when you just let's see what happens against the number 4 guy. Don't be so aggressive stealing bases. And that just helped Jerry Bell in this case. Jim Holt, 2-3, pops to short. Eric Soderholm, 52, rolls back to the mound. We go to the third inning. It's Tony Muser, 66, off Singer is double 1-9. It's a double. Runner in scoring position for Bucky Dent, 55, short X. This is Maxville, a 2E20. Nice offseason acquisition. They needed defense at short, and they got it. Makes the play. Back up top to Stinson. 5-12 off the Singer card, rolls to first. We have a runner at third, 2 outs, and it's George. Batting out of order. 59, second X. This is Carew. 2E16 at second base. He makes the play. Bottom of the third. It's Tony Oliva. 35. Flies to center. Bobby Darwin. 3-9 is a strikeout. Dale Maxville. 2-6 is a walk. He just walked a 192 hitter. How to lose at Strat-O-Matic. For Rod Carew, 52, rolls back to the mound. All right. Top of the fourth. It'll be Dick Allen. Quiet in game 4, hot in game 3. The on again, off again, the odd game, the even game. 1-6. Right on cue. Let's take a look at your 1972 MVP. This is his 73 card where he got injured, but statistically he was matching the previous year's production in a half season, 316 average and 16 home runs. 1-6 is homer 1-16. And when we look up at the big board, it hits off the top of the wall and stays in the park for a double. Okay. This seems hardly surprising. Bill Melton, 1-6, flies to center. Ken Henderson, 210, flies to right. Those are 2 sac fly attempts with nobody at third. And Lamar Johnson, 59, he rolls second base. Okay. Yep. You know, the last time the White Sox tried to score on a 85% chance, whatever, to get a run, Henderson got thrown out the plate. Trying to get a run here, similar scenario. They still don't get a run. Bottom of the fourth, Larry Heisel, 48, flies to center. And it's Steve Bry in the Bostock spot. 57 is single one to 10. Gets the hit off the Jerry Bell card. Phil, roof. The roof is on fire. 1-9, strikes out. And with 2 outs, it's Jolton Jim Holt. 1-5, grounds to second base. Scoreless. If you're Bill Singer, he hasn't seen his team score a run while he's been on the mound in this series. Buddy Bradford in the 5th. 3-4, grounds to short. Tony Muser, 2/7 a single. He's 2 for 2. Runner at first, 1 out. You want to do a hit and run? Bucky Dent, switch it up a bit? Sure, let's try a hit and run. That didn't work. Fielder's choice. If he just swings away, he would have walked. Of course. It's like modus ponens. Because they're the White Sox. 2 outs, man at first. Bob Stinson, 3-10, flies to right field. Oh, another scoreless day here in Minnesota. Bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Twins, White Sox, another tug of war. Neither team can really wax the other team. The only difference is in the standings, is in one-loss record. But as far as trying to create any separation between the two teams, there's been virtually none. Eric Soderholm, 210, flies to left. Tony Oliva, 510, center field. Bobby Darwin, 210, ground ball to short. Jerry Bell, you just punched your... Thank God we got you on the team ticket. So, if this thing goes south, you have Gossage, Forster, Mike Garman, Stan Bonson, all with cobwebs on them. You got plenty of longevity here. And again, Wilbur Wood could come back in a Game 6 on 2 days rest with Jim Cotton Game 7, or Bart Johnson. So at this point, Jerry Bell's just kind of won the series for the White Sox by not giving up a run. Now, unfortunately, his team hasn't scored one, but you get the idea. Top of the 6th inning, it'll be George batting out of order. 57 is a walk off that troublesome Singer, the 5 column, all those walks in it. C. Steeler. We haven't been attempting stolen bases, and I don't think we're going to start with Dick Allen in the batter's box. He doubled his last time up, and he's been very streaky. 412, flies to shallow right field. Bill Melton. 65 for Melton off of the Singer card is double 1-4. It is a base hit, and the White Sox have something going on in the 6th inning. You got runners on the corners with 1 out of a 1-0 game. What do you do? Do you play it up? Sure. The Twins, whatever you want to do, it'll work. So they'll play it up. Probably get a ground ball B. Here's the pitch to Ken Henderson. 1-5. Let's take a look at Ken Henderson's card in 1974. This would be his best year with the White Sox. He had a great year in 1970 with the Giants. When he is on, he is on. We'll just leave it at that. He's a .292 hitter with 20 home runs in 1974. Just a great 5-tool guy. 1-5. That is gone. 3-run bomb. And this is the same score the last time that Bill Singer pitched. It was a 3-0 White Sox win in game number 1. Lamar Johnson. 4-4, ground ball to short X. Shortstop Maxville at 2-20. He makes the play. And Lamar Johnson, hey, you don't have to go back in the left field anymore, buddy. You can just stay in the dugout, drink some Gatorade. Coluccio will take over for him defensively in the bottom of the inning. And Buddy Bradford. 58 is a strikeout. You got Jerry Bell in a 3-0 game, a 3-0 lead. We've had Bart Johnson in this scenario, and we've yanked him a couple times, just to get to Forster and Gossage. And you know what? We're not going to do it this time. We're going to leave old Jerry Dinnerbell in here just to try something different. 3-0 game, bottom of the 6th. It's Dale Maxville. 1-8, grounds the 3rd. The opposite thing. Isn't that what George Costanza said? Opposite day? Whatever you want to do, just do the opposite. That's what the White Sox should be doing here. Rod Carew, 111, ground ball to 3rd. And Larry Heisel. 37, a strikeout. Jerry Untouchable Bell with a 1-2-3 hitter, greatly aided by 2 guys getting caught stealing and a .330 hitting Lyman Bostock getting hurt. But it's a 3-0 game and a pick-me-up moment for the Chi Sox. Top of the 7th, Singer continues. It's Tony Muser. 6-10, catcher's X. Phil Roof's a 2-6. He makes the play. Bucky Dent. 4-4 for Bucky, short X. And plug this in at shortstop. Makes the play there. And with 2 outs, back up top to Bob Stinson. He'll most likely leave for Brian Downing. 57's a walk. Actually, he will, because he'll actually have Brian Downing come in and be the pinch runner, as Brian Downing's a B stealer. Mostly for defense, though, to bring him in. Do you want to attempt a stolen base with Brian Downing? That's just a something to do. Sure, let's do a stolen base attempt. This is going to be close. He's a B. 13, 12, 11, 10. 0 arm 10. No, he is out on a 12. That didn't work. That's okay. Ordo will lead off next inning. So Downing takes over catcher. We have Clusio in the outfield. Do we want Orta to leave the game now before he bats in the next inning to improve the defense? The answer is no, which means there's a considerably high chance the Twins will roll second X in the bottom of the 7th. 3-0 game, bottom of the 7th, stretch time here. We've been enjoying the deep voice of Rhapsody in White. Barry White, the Love Unlimited Orchestra LP of 1974. Imagine he was doing Barry White, he was doing the singers, the Love Unlimited, and he was also doing the Love Unlimited Orchestra. He had all sorts of ways to get into the top 40 in the R&B charts. The wonderful Barry White. And we got to throw down the big seller here. Love's Theme. There we go. Let's get this some volume, folks. Just so that the copyright monsters can come and attack me, right? There you go. Throw some of 10 seconds of this on so the video gets blocked in like 10 countries. Okay. Bottom of the 7th, 3-0 game. Jerry Dinnerbell. He's been brilliant. Got to leave him in there for at least a batter or 2 or 3. With Gossage and Forster looming. It'll be Steve Bry leading off. 54 off of Bell, center X. This is Ken Henderson. He's a 2-6 in center field. And he's out. 1 out. White Sox. I tell you, they've got everything. You've got good starting pitching, outstanding relievers, great defense, which seems like an oxymoron for the White Sox, but they do. I guess the outfield has not been blown up yet by disco records. So, yeah, they can still field. Yeah, I mean, they got everything to do to win games like this. So let's see how we go here. Phil Roof. 1-9's a strikeout. And Jim Holt. 3-6, Jim Holt. We saw what he did the damage in Game 4. Let's take a look at the Jim Holt card. 297 hitter in 1973. 11 home runs, 460 at-bats for the Twins. I believe in 72, he was with Oakland and as a pinch hitter and probably got a World Series ring. And in 73, he gets a chance to play every day as Tony Oliva moved to designated hitter for the Twins. And then after this will be the last good Jim Holt card. Still, excellent card. He's having a tremendous year. 3-6, homer 1-10. Again, he misses it because it's Jerry Bell Day. It's a double. And now you got Soderholm. And now, Like I said, it doesn't matter. The move I make is going to blow up in my face. But anyway, we'll leave Jerry Bell in there to face Eric Soderholm. 69, yep. Double 1-8. RBI double. And that'll score a run, making it 3-1. And that'll do that. Okay, so let's now do the thing we always do, and it blows up in our face. Let's bring in Terry Forster so we can give up a run or two, and then have Gossage stay in the game to lose it. So that's what we're going to do here. 6 2/3 for Jerry Bell. A batter away from hitting the point of weakness. He won't get that far. His teammates come over and give him a pat on the back. Nice yeoman effort for a free agent pitcher. Wasn't even associated with the White Sox. And here comes Terry Forster. He's been in this situation before, and he's failed once, and he's failed twice. He's going to see if he can fail again for a third time. Terry Forster, 7-8 in 1974 with a 3.63 ERA and 134 innings for the White Sox. He will face Tony Oliva, who's a tie run. However, Oliva doesn't have power versus left-handed pitching, even though he hits them very well. Terry Forster, Tony Oliva. Big moment here in the American League Midwest. Here's the pitch to Tony Oliva. 46 off Forster is a strikeout. So he nails down that inning. It's 3-1. Into the 8th we go. Bill Singer. I think they're going to pull him. They're going to pull Bill Singer after 7. They know Orta would normally come up and probably reach or have a really high chance of reaching against him, and they know the White Sox don't even want Orta's defense in the game, so might as well just let's bring in Jim Crawford. Jim Crawford's not very good at all, I hate to say, but I'm just reporting what I see on the card. He won a couple games in '73 for the Astros, has a 4.50 ERA in 70 innings. He is what we call a lefty who gets righties out only because he's really awful against lefties. So this is putting bait on the hook, the lefty, saying, hey, Orta doesn't hit lefties very well, but we'll bring in a really lousy lefty so you leave him in the game. Orta looks over to the dugout, and he's like, I'm going to swing. So Orta will bat against the lefty, Jim Crawford, and here's the pitch. 65, short X, and this is Maxville, and he makes the play. And regardless, the White Sox aren't falling for the bait. Orta will leave for defense anyway, and Beckert will take over at the bottom of the inning. So that means all the Chi Sox benches in the game with a 2-run lead. Dick Allen. Now I got Allen and Melton. Do you go back to a righty here? Thing is, Tom Murphy pitched 2 2/3 innings yesterday. So we'll just leave enough alone. We'll let Crawford continue against Dick Allen, as Crawford is better against righties. 4-8 is a walk. And now you got Bill Melton, a guy who hits some double plays. 57 is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Henderson, the star of the day with the big 3-run homer. Here's the pitch to Ken Henderson. 4-10, catcher's X. It's the roof on fire. 2-6 makes the play. Nice inning for Crawford. 6 outs to get. Forster, will probably get through to Carew. And that might be it, because Bostock got hurt. And they probably won't get to Holt and Oliva again. The game would be over, we believe. So Forster will be in for the first 3 batters. Then we'll flip it to Gossage. 3-1 game, bottom of the 8th. It's Bobby Darwin. 2-11, grounds the 3rd. Maxville. You could go Chico Cardenas here, down 2. That's some real bait. You do that, and then the White Sox just go Gossage immediately, because Cardenas has no hits on his card. That's an automatic out. Nope. Twins will just leave Maxville in there. Here's the pitch to Dale Maxville. 48, and it pays off. Double 1-4 off of Forster. It's a base hit. Giving base hits off the pitcher's card to 192 hitters is exactly how to lose in Strat-O-Matic. Now this is the last batter for Forster. Rod Carew with a runner at first to 1 out. Here's the pitch to Rod. 111. Let's take a look at the Carew card. Oh boy. This is a huge mistake. So Caru's 73 card, this is the last big card as a second baseman. He'll continue to play second, but the defense will be gone. Actually, he'll hit 364 next year. But a double-A stealer, a 2 at second base, a 350 average, great defense. We gave him the American League MVP for leading the Twins to the top of the division. All that being said, 111, though, is a GBA. And that ends the inning. So, unfortunately, that is a rare mistake on Carew. A 3-6-3 double play with a slow runner at first and 1 out. So, Forster gets out of the inning, and we know who's pitching the ninth in this one. 3-1 game into the ninth. You got Coluccio, Bradford, Dent. We are actually going to go to Bill Campbell here in the ninth for the Twins. The closer, just to keep this thing a 2-run affair. Bill Campbell is a really nice 1974, 8-7, 263 ERA in 120 innings. Relief 3. He comes on in the ninth. He'll face Bob Coluccio in there for Lamar Johnson. 4-7, single 1 to 9 off the Campbell card. Cannot get it. Buddy Bradford. 2-9 is a strikeout. Talking Tony Muser. 47 is a single. And number 9 hitter, Bucky Dent. We still have been trying a stolen base with a C off of Roof. It's an 11, not being held. Muser's not being held, but he's going to attempt a stolen base. He's safe on a 5. Tony Muser, C stealer, just stole a base there. Bucky Dent is the batter. Runner at second now with 2 outs. Here's the pitch to Bucky. 4-10 off of Campbell. Third X. This is Soderholm. He had his struggles in Comiskey. He made some errors. 2E22. But he makes the play. Okay. Bottom of the ninth. Forster goes an inning and a third, and we're going right to Gossage here in the ninth. A 2-run lead and a bunch of righties coming up. Textbook move for a White Sox team. Again, this is like the seesaw. They win, they lose, they win, they lose, they win. Trying to win a game 5 and go cut the lead to a single game and return home to Comiskey with destiny, with home field advantage. Destiny in their hands, you could say. All they have to do is win at home, and they can be in first place. So, Gossage in the ninth. It'll be Heisel, Bry, Roof, Holt. All you want is Heisel or Bry to get on so that Phil Roof can swing for a tie. Here is Larry Heisel. 67 off Gossage is a strikeout. Big at bat here for Steve Bry. 4-7 off Gossage is another strikeout. And no, it'll be Phil Roof. Let's take a look at the Roof card. The Roof is on fire. It's an incredible 75 card. 126 at-bats, 7 home runs, a 302 average. Tons of home runs on this card versus righties. You know, a lot of these extra player cards, Roof did not have a long career. A lot of these cards get taken away to expansion teams who really need instant offense. But the Twins smartly held on to this guy. And here's the pitch to Phil Roof. The Roof's on fire. 59 short X. It's Bucky Dent. He's a 2E16 shortstop. And he makes the play, and that's your ball game. Nice victory for the Chi Sox. But can they do it again? And again after that? Can this team win 3 in a row? I don't know. They won today 3-1. It is a victory for Jerry Bell, a save for Gossage, and the loss to Bill Singer. Now, Game 6 and Game 7 are in Comiskey Park. And the White Sox have a choice. Jim Cott has to pitch Game 6, but they have a choice between Bart Johnson and Wilbur Wood in Game 7, so I don't know how that's going to fall until if and when we get there. But it'll be Jim Cott for the White Sox in Game 6. And he'll deal against Burt Blyleven. And in Game 7, the Twins' starting pitcher would be Dave Goltz against to be determined for the White Sox. So we'll have the box score of this game and the results of Game 6 and 7 if necessary. So stick around. All right, baseball fans, here is the box score of Game 5 you just saw. Jerry Bell defeats Bill Singer 3-1. Bell, 6 2/3, 5 hits, a run, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. And Forster and Gossage were much more efficient. 2 1/3 innings, just a hit and 3 strikeouts. A tough loss for Bill Singer, not getting any support in his 2 starts in the series. So it would mean going back to Comiskey Park. The White Sox would have home field advantage. If they win both games, they would be in first place. That is the setup here. So let's show you what happened. We go to a game number 6, and in game 6, it's Bert Blyleven who got knocked around his last time against Jim Cott. And today in Comiskey, a troubling, hopefully it's not a trend for Bert Blyleven, who started the All-Star game, but he gets knocked around again by the White Sox. Maybe it's because Blyleven's one of those righties who's a little bit better against lefties, and the White Sox only start 4 lefties in their lineup, so the righties got him. You got a Buggy Dent 2-run double. You get Henderson with a RBI double, RBI ground out Melton. You get a sac fly Orta here. 6 runs coming in the middle innings. 6-0 lead for the White Sox behind Jim Cott. But your Twins, of course, they're going to make it interesting. After 2 outs in the 7th, Carew doubles, Bobby Darwin homers, Tony Oliva singles. That'll chase Cott. 6 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. And they go to Stan Bonson with a 4-run lead, get the final out in the 7th. But in the 8th inning, Bonson walks the first 2 batter he faces. So that'll get Forster in the game. He gets 2 outs. And then they get Mike Garman in the game. He gets the final out of the 8th and gets up a hit in the 9th. They were able to preserve a 6-2 win, keeping Gossage fresh for a game 7. Gossage and Forster, really. So the White Sox win 6-2. Caught 6 2/3. Garman inning and a third, 1 hit allowed. Nice job out of the most of the White Sox bullpen there. Which takes us to a game 7. The White Sox have a choice: Wilbur Wood or Bart Johnson. And the choice for the White Sox is Bart Johnson, and the reason is that because this Game 7 is inevitable anyway, they want Wood to pitch the first game of the next round of the tournament to give him as many starts moving forward, as this is, you can say, a sunk cost. We already know the White Sox are playing in this one, and Bart Johnson's arguably a better pitcher anyway, and has done very well in these situations. The only time when the White Sox don't do well is when Terry Forster comes in and blows the game for him. So let's see what happens here. First inning, Carew hits a fly ball to left field, and Lamar Johnson misplays it into a single. He steals a base and scores on a double play. This double play is interesting. This is another Lyman Bostock ground ball, a double play plus injury. And just like in the game you saw, Bostock is out in the first inning. So very disappointing for the Twins to lose their star center fielder in such an important series. So it's 1-0. Bottom of the 3rd inning, Buddy Bradford, haven't heard from him much this year. Solo shot, it is 1-1. A couple more hits. We got runners on the corners, nobody out. Stinson hits a fly ball attempt to right field, but they elect not to tag up with nobody out. Then Orta does the same thing, fly ball to right field with a question mark. They elect to try it then and get thrown out at the plate. So it's 1-1. 4th inning. After 2 outs, you get a ground ball to Eric Soderholm, another error. So we're getting some unforced errors here. Henderson steals second base, and then Lamar Johnson gets a double to make it a 2-1 game. It stays that way. White Sox had 3 single dots in a row in the 5th inning and left the bases loaded without scoring. Twins in the 6th inning. By the way, by this point, it looks like they had pulled Stinson for a better catcher, Brian Downing, better throwing arm. Carew walks, Steals the base anyway. Doesn't matter if you have a better catcher in there. And then Phil Roof doesn't get a homer, gets an RBI single. It's a 2-2 game. It stays this way into the bottom of the 7th inning. And Goltz will continue in this game. Tony Muser. These singles, these are actually 3 sixes on his card, which is triple 1-6. He had one of these in game 6 as well. He missed all of them. But he did end up with 3 singles. That's maybe why he's batting 8th. He's more of a singles hitter. So he gets a single. Bucky Dent gets a ground out. And then a very critical move here. Brian Downing rolls third X to Soderholm. It's a ground ball C, so it's an out, but the runner moves up. So now the runner's at third with 2 outs. Orta as a lefty versus Allen as a righty. They elect to walk Orta to pitch to Allen because they know it'd be first and third, and Dick Allen likes to walk a lot. Doesn't matter. Dick Allen, he rolls second X, or excuse me, no, he rolls short X against Dale Maxfield, a 2 shortstop, and he gets the single. So because the runner was at third on the ground ball C and not at second, that run will actually score. That means that Orta's at second, Allen's at first, Bill Melton grounds out to end the inning. That's a tough pill for the Twins to follow. Again, they've had some very unfortunate breaks late in this series in which they were getting a lot of breaks earlier in the series. So it's just a 3-2 game, and you think there's still a lot of life left in the Twins. Bart Johnson has a 1-run lead in the 8th. He gets the first batter out, Dale Maxfield, and here's that same march to the mound where they just say, you know, Bart, we know you're great, but we want to yank you. Bring in Terry Forster so he can blow the season for us. Because he's already done that the last 2 times you went out there. Forster comes in to face Carew, gives up a single and a stolen base. Doesn't matter. They hook him and say, you know what? We're going to leave the rest of this series and season in the hands of Rich Gossage. Gossage gets an out, a walk, and a fly ball to end the inning. White Sox go quietly in the 8th. It's still 3-2 in the 9th. Gossage needs 3 outs. Jim Holt, who else? We talk about how hot he is. He gets a single off his card. Eric Soderholm, always in the news in this series for offense and bad defense for whatever reason. He gets a single on his own card. First and second, nobody out. Tony Oliva, he gets a walk on the Gossage card. Bases loaded, nobody out. And you have righty-righty, and you're going to have to deal with Carew anyway. They bring the infield up, and sure enough, Bobby Darwin gets a ground ball B. So, guy gets thrown out at the plate, other guys move up. Dale Maxfield, same thing. Ground ball with the infield up. It's a 6-2 force out at the plate. 2 outs at the plate now. But you still got the bases loaded on Rod Carew. Rod Carew finally, on his own card, rolls a ground ball to second to end the game. And it is Gossage doing the magic act. Loading the bases in the 9th inning. Trying to play for a tie, hopefully. And getting the infield up, worked back-to-back times. You don't see that much, but it happened here. And then Carew ends the game. What a thrilling Game 7. And there is, it turns out the White Sox did exactly what they had to do mathematically in this series. They had to win 5 of 7, and they won 5 of 7 games. You could argue they could have won 6 of 7. Or you could argue that maybe the Twins should have won some games. There is just such a fine line in a lot of these games. There was no blowouts. Normally you think a 5-2 series is completely one-sided. And in a rare turnaround, it is the White Sox who benefit in the column that matters most. Wins. They needed the wins, and they got one. They got 5 of 7 wins. Even though statistically they played this pretty evenly throughout. So that's the end of the Game 7. So let's take a look what it all means. Here we are. The crazy part about this is In the 2024 postseason, I'm going to flash back for a second. Last year, the White Sox had to play Kansas City in this round, and the White Sox beat Kansas City 5-2 to take control of the division. That was last year. Well, same kind of scenario. The White Sox were behind. They took care of the Twins this time, 5-2. The record's not nearly as good as a year ago. They're 20-16. Twins are 21-19. But you got to like the futures of both these teams. They flesh out their rosters, use a lot of their players. They have a strategy in mind, and it just comes down to the lucky plays. They play good analytical baseball. It's just sometimes you get bad luck and good luck and whatever. These two teams combined 6 over 500. Looking at the standings now, they're the White Sox in first presently. They'll have to play a first-place team in the second round of the tournament. Twins will play a third-place team. That's how it is set up. So the Twins could come back in and get back into first, possibly. From here for the White Sox, if they start to go on a roll, could they get a bye? Well, it's possible. They're 4 over. They lost head-to-head to the Tigers and Orioles, and they're both 7-7 over. So it seems unlikely. But for the White Sox, you're just trying to, at this point, you're just trying to get into the playoffs, win a division after a struggling start. Let's look at some stats now to see what we can find out. I guess if I'm the Twins, I'd be most concerned with Bert Blyleven. He had 2 starts in the series. Actually, Bill Singer and Bert Blyleven lost 4 games in the series. So Blyleven was 7-2 at the All-Star break and started it. He's now 7-4. He's given up 45 runs in 96 innings. So Blyleven's got a 4.21 ERA. Bill Singer is 3-6. They're getting good closeout work by Bill Campbell, 3-1 with 6 saves. The offense is still amazing. They're hitting 289. At one point they were hitting 300, 290 something, but we love 289. That's fantastic. ERA has climbed a bit to 385. All sorts of production throughout this lineup. I'm curious about Jim Holt, though. He always seems to get clutch hits. Jim Holt is 50 for 150. Another stat is that the Twins have played 40 baseball games, and they lead the league in Commissioner Award points, which is a compensation pick in the draft for roster utilization. That means that all their relievers and all their bench players are playing more than any other team in the league. And you would get the 33rd pick in the draft if you hold on and win that, which is awarded before the playoffs begin. So a team could better that mark, but right now the Twins, that would be a nice get for them to get a high draft pick in next year's draft. Carew is 59 for 173, the MVP, but where is the batting average now? 341, below the 350 that's on his card, but still, he's the leader of this team. He's got 22 stolen bases, doing it that way, being a catalyst at the top. Of course, he didn't make the final out of the Game 7, which is a shame. Phil Rufus 7 home runs, which is how many he hit in 75. All right, the White Sox 20-16. They're hitting 265, which is an improvement. 3.62 ERA. That's okay. Good enough. That's a little bit of an improvement. Wood is 8-5. Cott's 6-3. All the starters have winning records. Bart Johnson just 3 decisions because he gets yanked a lot. 2-1. Jerry Bell's actually 3-2. Pitched half as many innings as Bart Johnson and has 2 more decisions. Back in the bullpen, Gossage and Forster, again, they're 1-5. They do have 10 saves. Gossage's ERA is around 3, which is okay. But has put 21 men on 20. He's not as sharp as he was a year ago. Dick Allen has 8 home runs and 28 RBI to pace his team. He's 38 for 149. Dick Allen's hitting 255. Can improve there. Leading hitter for this team, probably going to be Lamar Johnson. Yeah, he's hitting 321. Man, that's what he hit. He hit 320. He's right on target for his batting average. He only has 2 home runs and 17 RBIs. So this offense isn't nearly as productive as the Twin offense. Net run differential. Twins have scored 190, given up 177 for a plus 13, which is kind of supports their record. White Sox have scored 155, but given up just 136. So they're getting better pitching and less offense than the Twins. So that's a great series. It's hard to separate, you know, these teams, but I could play probably 7 more games of Twins White Sox if I had enough time. I mean, it just seems that neither team can walk away from the other. So in any event, break up. Chicago White Sox. They did what they needed to do. They needed to win. 5 out of 7. They did precisely that. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.